Okay, welcome everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good whatever it is to you, wherever you are. For the second session in EAMS today, we have just one item. It's a presentation of CrowdMark by Beatriz Navarro Lameda, who she's going to sort of talk about her use of CrowdMark, demonstrate some of the features, and then in the second part, we'll be able to try it out ourselves. I think that's all the introduction you need. So over to you.
Great. Thank you very much. So I'll just share my screen. Okay. Okay. So CrowdMark is a collaborative marking tool that is designed by mathematicians for mathematicians. And I've been using CrowdMark since 2013. So that's ages ago when everyone was marking on paper. So Professor James Colliander and his PhD student, Martin Munoz, they were developing this tool. And I was part of the whole process from the beginning. So every time we felt that we needed a new feature, they would add it. So that's why it works so well for marking mathematics in particular. So the first thing that I want to show you is how much faster marking can be compared to paper marking. I've heard so many people saying, oh, but online marking takes much longer than the old-fashioned paper marking. If you try CrowdMark, you would say, I will never, ever go back to old-fashioned paper. So here we have a question. And this one, they just had to find the roots of this polynomial. And well, with CrowdMark, we can do several things. We have these annotation tools here on the left that you can see over here. So we have comment tool. This is the coolest one, so I will leave it for the last one. We have a free-form annotation, and then we have some stamps. So we have check marks, X, and question mark. We have a highlighting tool, and this is just to delete. And we have 6 different colors of pen for those of you who would like to use different things and color code. Now, beautiful thing about CrowdMark is keyboard shortcuts. So if I press here, for example, Z, it gives me the pencil, so I can just draw something. If I hit on C, I get a check mark that I can put in stamp. And let's say, well, I don't want that stamp there. I can just I click D and delete. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, I have my keystrokes are being recorded, so you can see them. And for example, here the student made a mistake. This factorization is not correct. So I want to put an X. And we also have question marks if we like to put question marks, although it's not good practice to just put a question mark, but we can just do it. And now, as I said, we can change colors to write things differently. And we also have the highlighting tool. So if you click on S, you can just highlight maybe something that went wrong. And again, you have all the 6 colors available for writing, highlighting, and stamps. And now let's say I want to just write a comment. I can click on the speech bubble, or I can just hit the key V. And when I do this, I said, okay, you made a mistake in your factorization. So we can just write this comment just as is, or if let's say I assigned that out of the total 4 points that this question is worth, having the factorization correct, which was 2 points, I can assign negative points to this comment and I say -2. That means that, as you can see now, the grade started at 4 and is deducting 2 points from the total. So that's one way we can do it. So if you want to mark for every mistake, you take points off. CrowdMark, what it does is it recognizes that the total was 4 and it starts subtracting points every time. And we can also do some very cool things. I'll just show you. So we can add hyperlinks to student solutions. So for example, we can add this comment that I wrote here with a link. So we can ask this, and then the students can actually click on this and it will take them to the page where they have some help, for example. Another very, very cool feature that I love about Curmark is we can say you can check your answer using a graph. And then I can actually go to my files and I have the graph over here, and I can drag and drop in the comment box. And now the comment contains a beautiful graph. So we can add images, we can add clickable hyperlinks, hand draw, add comments. And if you see here, we have these comments on the right. This is what we call the comment library. This is an amazing feature. Every time that you write a new comment, it will go down to the comment library. So we can just drag and drop. Okay, there is one here that says, okay, this is a comment. You can drag and drop it and put it over there. So on the right of the screen, you see there is a keypad here with the numbers. Is a number pad. You have also the mark that the student currently has. And here, for example, if for some reason I want to override the automatically generated mark, which is indicated that was automatically generated by this auto comment, I can retype here. I can just click here or write 3. And if I hit enter, it will save it. And now it overwrites the previous mark that I had enter. And if I change my mind and I want to go back to the automatic grading, I can just click here and it will go back. Now we want to go to the next student. I want to mark all of question 1 in one go and then move to the other questions. I can click here to go to booklet number 2. If I click on next ungraded, it will skip the ones that were not submitted. So if no one did anything for booklet number 2, it will go to booklet number 3. Or my favorite is using the keyboard. You go shift right arrow and it takes you to the next booklet. And probably you don't remember all the keyboard shortcuts that I've been saying so far. No problem. Here you have the cheat sheet, you have shortcuts, and it gives you all the options that you have to use the comment tools and the navigation tools. Okay, so now, for example, we have this student and they have the correct factorization. So we can say, for example, let's see, we don't have one. Okay, so let's do another one. Say, okay, this is correct factorization. That's good. This root is correct, but this one is not. So I have one here that says missing one factor minus 1 point, for example. Or in this case, this is not a very good comment. I don't like it. I can delete it. So I'll just show you again. I have this comment. That is not the comment I wanted to add. I click on the comment and then I click here. I ask me, are you sure you want to delete these? And I said, yes, I'm sure. Okay. And now it just disappears and it automatically updates the score. So in this case, you have one wrong root. So maybe okay. And I could also assign positive points. So if I decided that if everything is correct except for one of the roots, they made a mistake, I can just say 3 points, and now it gives you 3 points in total. Okay, and now let's go to the next one. This one, for example, it was just trial and error, and we decided, well, trial and error, this is like minus 3 points. And let's see, this one is perfect. So maybe what I want to do here, so actually, no, this one has one mistake, actually, because it says that one of the roots is 2/3, which is not correct. All right, so we can put an X. And then again, I previously created one comment that says one wrong root. So I can drag and drop over here and I can reuse them. And this is amazing because now I don't have to retype the same comment over and over again. I can just very quickly drag and drop and put the comments that I have previously created. And this one here, okay, this one again has a small mistake, but imagine that is perfect. You can add also emojis. So in this case, okay, I have my own commands, but if you're in a Mac, you can do Control Command Space, and it just gives you your emojis. And I can add an emoji over there. And okay, add it 4. Perfect. So those are the basics. Now, I go to this one, and if you look at this, it looks suspiciously similar. Before we saw the exact same submission. So, okay, if we go here, okay, this we said that the mark according to this was -3. We reuse the comment, but now this is suspicious. So what I will do is I will create a tag so I can come back to it later. So I will just put, I don't know, check A. And then I remember that I think it was booklet 3. I can click on booklet and then go to the booklet number I want to check. It takes me to booklet 3. And if you see, it's exactly the same. So what I will do is I will enter the same tag. So now we have two submissions that look the same with the same tag. So if I go to filter evaluations over here, I can click check A, and it will only show me the booklets that have check A on it. So if I apply the filters, you see it shows me this booklet and it shows me booklet 6. This is very good for several uses. In this case, I showed you how we can use it to then go back later to check for cases of plagiarism or collusion, where we want to see maybe two students with an identical solution. Now it's very easy to go because we go to next filter and we only see those, so they're very easy to identify. I do this when I have a group of TAs. I tell them, if you see two solutions that are suspiciously similar, do not worry about deciding what you need to do. You're going to tag them using this same tag for all of them, and I will go back later and check them. Another way I use tags is, for example, if we don't know what to do, what to say to one student, then we can tag it with help if it's a TA, and then you can go and help them, or not sure, and you can have multiple tags. So if you have two different tags, you can have as many tags as you want, and students will not see the tags when you send this back to them. So students will be able to see all your comments over here, but the tags are private communication within the marking team, which I think it's very good. Okay, so now that these are the basics of marking, we can see the comment library. As I said, here we have all the comments that were created, and we can edit them. For example, I created this comment. I can decide to share it with the team. So everyone else that is marking will be able to reuse this comment, which is very good. It tells me also how many times this comment has been used, and I can edit it. So I can edit it and will change the comments retroactively. So for example, I will add something here. So I save it and ask me, you're about to update one instance of this comment. I said, okay. And now if I go to where this comment was added, we'll see the new comment. And another very cool thing about this is that if you click here, it will filter the booklets with this particular comment. And you see now it was updated. Why is this helpful? Imagine, it has happened to me. Imagine that you have 1,000 students and you come up with a comment. Good, you're happy with it. But then 500 booklets later, you realize that the comment is not good because maybe there was a mistake in the comment, or you just want to change it. Now you can change it and it will update all those 500 instances where you have already used it, which is extremely helpful. Even more, if you stick to just using automatic grading through comments, something that you can do is change the point value. Let's say that I first thought that if they had one wrong root, they should get 3 out of 4, but now I think maybe that's too harsh, because if I do that, they're going to do very, very poorly. So then now I can change it to 3.5, let's say, and it will update that value in all the instances where that was used. And now if we go to the ones where that comment was used, the new mark is now 3.5. So this is excellent, because I'm sure it has happened to you before that you're marking and towards the end you're like, oh my God, I was taking 2 points off for this mistake, but if I do that, it's going to be a bloodbath and I want to readjust my marking. On paper, you will not do it, because having to go back and check all the 200 papers is just not reasonable. But now you can just, with one click, update everyone. So now this is the marking. This is the best, I would say, is the best feature of CrowdMark. The comment library is my absolute favorite because it ensures consistency and efficiency. Now, one mistake has attached 1 mark, or doing certain things I have attached certain marks, which means that no matter how good or bad your mood is, maybe when you start marking, you're happy and you say, okay, it's not too bad. But towards the end, you're just angry and it's like, oh no, this mistake, like everything is wrong. This cannot happen anymore, because it's 1 mistake, 1 mark, and it's already decided. But if you change your mind, you can change it for absolutely everyone. Also, if you have a marking team of maybe 3 or 4 people marking the same question, you have this comment library that acts as a marking scheme, and then you just share it with everyone. Okay. Now, things that you can see here. This is the main page. And in the main page, you can see the status of how many booklets you have left to mark, how much time it has been spent on marking a particular question. And this is the speed on evaluations per hour. So it's how many students or how many papers you marked in an hour. And this is very good to keep track of speed. Maybe is this question taking too long to mark, or is very quick, and maybe you want to move markers from one question to another. And here we have the team. So here we can see all the members of the team and how much time they spend marking so far. In some universities, when we pay markers by the hour, this is very important, because now you actually see how much time they're spending. Many TAs tend to overwork and they spend more than what they're supposed to do, and then some spend a lot less. So maybe you can balance things out much better using this, or just for yourself to have an idea of how long it actually takes to mark. I've compared using CrowdMark to paper marking and to using other platforms, and it's between 2 and 4 times faster. It depends on the type of questions, because now there is no flipping pages, there is not moving piles of paper, and it's also not having to open a new PDF file for every time you want to start marking a new student, which is what I find, for example, if you've marked submissions made through Moodle. In Moodle, you have to open the new, for each student, you have to click, open this new PDF, then you update, you annotate, then submit, and then you have to open another one. If anyone has used Wiseflow, it's exactly the same thing. You have to open and it takes time to load. Here was very quick, as you could see. So that part is very good. Other things that we can do with CrowdMark. If we go back to the main page in assessment settings, we can decide whether we want graders to see each other evaluations or not. So if I click, now everyone in the marking team can see what other people did. This could be a good training tool. Or if you have it off, markers cannot see what others did. And this is good for example, double-blind marking, because you could have two people marking two copies of the same answer, but they cannot see what the other did. They can only see that another person marked it, but they cannot see the marks they gave or the comments. So some people use it for double-blind marking. And then the instructor or the facilitator can then come and decide which one is going to be the main one or to clone them. So here, for example, in the team, you see there's instructors, they are the owners of the course, and they can see everything and they can change everything. Facilitators, they have quite a lot of power. They cannot change the settings of the course itself. They can do everything within the assessments. They can see the students' names, they can modify the student submissions. And then the graders don't have access to the student information, the questions information. So this helps keep everything anonymous during marking. So you don't want the markers to see the names of the students. You make them markers, and then they will not be able to see any student information. Okay, so now that we have that, I want to show you, for example, let's do this one. So here is what we see in the student tab. So we saw already the marking feature, but here we can see the information of whether the student submitted their work, it was submitted on time, was submitted late, and we can see a lot of information. This was a group assignment, for example. And here we could see that Ada and Leonard, they form a group. So they have a group submission. And now their submissions are tied together. So you just mark one copy for them and it creates the marks for both of them. And here we can see the submission activity. So we see that Ada was the one that created the group. And we can see now that she added a page to question 1, a page to question 2, submitted, and everything was uploaded. And then later came back and answered question 3 and 4 and submitted again. So you can see later she came back and changed some questions. So we can keep track of all the student activity. And here we can see even more details. This information here, this MD5, is a unique identifier for files that students upload. This could be very good for example, detecting that two different students submitted the exact same file. It will have the same code. Or if a student says that they accidentally deleted their submission, and after the deadline say, oh, I realized that I accidentally deleted my submission. Can I send it to you by email? You say, okay, but make sure you send the exact same file, because then you can compare the two codes. And if they're the same, you know that indeed what they sent you via email is the same one that they uploaded originally and they by mistake deleted. So this could be good for you. Here we see that this student submitted late, and we had a lateness penalty. I'll talk about that a bit later. And here we can decide that we want to forgive them. And because it's just 2 minutes, it's not a big deal. I want to just give them 0 lateness penalty. And here it shows that we have some special accommodation. Another thing that we can do on this page is when we click here, we can adjust also the deadline for the student. So I can choose a different due date or the amount of time they had to complete it. So originally I have 2 hours and 15 minutes, but due some accessibility accommodations, the student maybe has extra time, so maybe 3 hours. So now I can change it. And this can be changed before the student submit. But even if for some reason there was a mistake and you forgot to add extra time, you can add that extra time after they start submitting or even after they submit it altogether. Okay, so we have this. Another very interesting tab is the results tab. I'll show you here how it looks. Once you finish all your marking and you go to the results, you can see the distribution of scores, the total mark for the exam. You can see it question by question. And here you can see if you had multiple choice questions, you can have multiple choice analytics. So it takes a bit of time to load, but you can see here some information. You can see the questions which were answered the most. And it runs some diagnostics. So it identifies you had difficult questions or easy questions. They study discrimination and distractors. So it is a good way to check whether your multiple choice questions were actually good based on the analytics that you have over here, which I think is actually very helpful. You can export your grades as CSV file. So if you do this here, you will get in the downloads, you get this file over here. So you get the booklet number, you get a link to the score, the marked page, the email of the students, their name, student ID, and the marks question by question, and the totals. So if you are in the UK and you have to deal with external examiners, for example, what I did is, well, I want to keep it anonymous, so I don't want any of these columns here, and I only care about the total. So I delete these columns here. I delete all this. And now you can share this with external examiners. There is no personal information at all. And what it takes them is now, if you click on this link, it takes them to the grades for the student, and they can see all the work, and they can see the marks that the student got for each question and the comments. So it's extremely simple with an external. The only thing that you have to do is to really share a table with 3 columns. They can click and see it. I think it's the simplest way to keep everything anonymous and simple. They don't need a CrowdMark account. They don't need to know how to use CrowdMark. The only thing they need to do is click, and then they will see everything. Okay, so now that we have this, okay, I'll split it. What else is interesting is many people, okay, say, okay, this is very good, but how do I create an assessment? So let's go here, and we're going to create a new assessment. Okay. Okay, so let's see that I want to create a linear algebra test. There are 2 options. The first one, administered, is when you have students in exam hall with an invigilated exam that is paper-based. So you print the copies, you give them to the students, so the pre-COVID type of exams. So this one, if you're curious, you can ask later, but I'll focus on the remote ones that are used for coursework, so all the problem sets, homework assignments, and now during COVID times also for exams. So I created here, and it will ask me a few questions. Well, we have to choose a due date and a due time. And we can choose a lateness penalty, and it could be by, for example, day, hour, or minute late. You could choose an amount of time the students have to complete it. So let's say that they have 3 hours. And you can choose whether you want it to be a group assessment or not. Okay, you do this. And now here we can add our own questions. I have some questions already here created. So this one, for example, I'll just type it here. For this one, I want to add an image. So if I put my cursor over here, I can then go to my files. Okay, it's in Finder, and I will choose this one here, and I'll just put it over there. And now an image, if I click on preview, I see now that I have a question with the image over there and here. It supports Markdown for editing. So if you see here, I have double stars around A, that gives you bold. If you need help with Markdown formatting, you have here a link to a quick guide on how to use Markdown. And this type of question, students are going to write it on a piece of paper, take a picture or scan it and upload it in a JPEG or PDF file. But now I want to add another question where students are going to be asked to write some text. So here I will ask them to write a paragraph about applications of linear algebra in real life, I can change over here the maximum number of points. And I want to add a multiple choice question. So we have multiple choice. And here we have the question. And in this one, I want them to choose all the ones that are correct, not just one of the correct ones, but all of the ones that are correct. So I'll add here all my options. And as you can see, it supports LaTeX beautifully. So we can put all our questions over here. Perfect. And then we choose the correct answers. But now, right now, the way that is set, students will only allowed to choose one answer. When you see, it's the same thing as in Google Forms. When you see the circle, it's just one answer. But if it's several ones, then it's multiple answers. So how do we do that? Well, you have multiple choice settings here. And now you say select all the ones. And now it changed to square. So now students will have to select all the three of them. And another really nice thing is that you could set negative points if they have a wrong answer. The only drawback for now is that whatever you choose there is going to apply to all the questions in the assessment. You cannot change it question by question. And you can then click here to preview it. And in this case, this is what the students will see. So they have here, they will have to drag and drop or just click to browse, type something here and select their answers. So one thing that you could be kind of wondering is, how does it feel from the student point of view? Because some people worry, oh, they have to do for every question, they have to submit a new PDF file, that's too much work. I've heard that from many people. Students love Carmark and they think it's very simple. And what I want to do is I want to show you how it looks from the student point of view. So here, this is the main page that the student will see. They go to the course they want to go and submit. Here, we're going to do problem set B. Problem set B, it tells me that this is a time assessment. And it tells me that we have 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm going to start assessment now. And it's a group assessment, so I can add a group member. And let's see, let's find a group member here. Okay, I have a group member, I'll save it. Perfect, so now I have my questions here and I have my answers prepared over here. So let's say I did question 1 in one document, I drag and drop. And then I realized that, well, here I only had to put questions A and B and not C. So if you see I click here, this is my answer for part C. You can see zoom in page by page. So I will just move them from here to here. So if you created just one PDF file, as long as you make sure that each question begins in a separate page, you can then move them around. And then I can just drag and drop this one, put it over here. So this is my answer. And then, well, I can just choose my answers here and then here, well, type. It tells me here at the bottom how much time I have left to finish. And when I'm ready, I click submit for evaluation. So I submit these 4 pages and now I can see a confirmation page. It says, thank you for the submission. And it lets me see everything that I did. And now, well, if I'm happy, I'm done, forget about it. Imagine that I realized like, oh my God, no, I made the worst mistake in the world. I need to change it. As long as you still have time left, you can come back, say edit and resubmit. And I say, okay, I don't want this file here. I have this other one. This is my new correct answer. So I'll just upload it and click resubmit for evaluation. And they can do this as many times as they want, provided that they still have time left. So that is how it looks from the student point of view. As you can see, is extremely simple. And then once everything is marked, how does it look? How do students see it? I'll show you, for example, I go to one that we have marked. So we marked. Let's do the one that we just did together. So this one here, we can go to students, and if I click on submission, we can see exactly what was submitted. But then, oops, let me just open what we did for the marks. Okay, let's do problem set B. This one is the one that we just were seeing, the students submitted. But the one I want to show you, oh, we're in the wrong course, that's why. So in this course here, for example, we had this one over here, and I'll show you what the students see. When you click on score, students will see this. You can decide to hide this grade distribution. If you don't want the students to know the grade distribution, you can do that. But here you can see students will see the comments like this. It tells them their total score, and they can see the comments and the marks per question. And they can also hide the feedback. So if a student wants to see it without your comments at all, they can hide the feedback, or they can turn it on again and show the feedback, and they can see your comments. And another useful thing is when you go to the results page, you can edit this here, and then you can add an assessment summary page. So if you want to say, well, here, great work on question 2, here's some feedback for question 1, and then you type something. Now students will see this message at the top of their submission. So this is a way for you to send feedback to all the students at once. And if you don't want to include the grade distribution, you click here and it will disappear. So I'll show you again. If I go to the score page for the student, now this updated the message and the grade distribution is gone. Okay, so I would say that's it for my presentation, and for the next 20 minutes or so, I would like us to really... Oh, there's a question. So Miriam is asking, if a student submits the incorrect document and realizes after the deadline, can staff go? Yes, you can do that. So let me show you. Okay, so let me show you. I'll share my screen again and I'll show you. So here, for example, I can go to Charles Darwin's submission, and Charles told me, oh my God, I made a horrible mistake. I was missing a page. Could you please help me? And I said, yes, of course. Because I am a facilitator, I'm an owner of the course, I can click and edit and resubmit, and I can do that for a student no matter how long after the deadline. So now I added a page, I resubmit for evaluation, and now it's done. So you see, like this one was a month late because it was submitted, like the deadline was a long time ago, and I can still change it. So that is something that is very valuable. If a student contacts you and they realize that something needs to be fixed, you can do it. Another thing that I've done is, for example, student submits, for example, as I said before, like A, B, and C in the part that was supposed to be only for question A, then I can go and move them. So the student doesn't even need to tell me. I realized that when I was marking, the student uploaded the wrong thing in the wrong place. And I'll just go and just quickly fix it. So problem set B, go to students, and I see, for example, they submitted everything, but they made a mistake. Then, well, right now I cannot change it because they still have time to finish it, but later on I will be able to go and move pages around. So here you see I edit and resubmit, and well, this page was supposed to be there, and I can do it. After everything has been done, even after we have started marking. So if you realize halfway through the marking that, oh, this is question 3, but it's in the place of question 5, you can go to the student submission and move the pages around. Are there any other questions?
I don't think we have any questions on the conference Moodle at the moment. We did have one from Louise Lynch, which I think Elliot has answered, about downloading submissions in bulk.
So you can download the work that is already marked, but you cannot. Some people ask, can I download all the PDFs and then mark them in my computer separately and then upload them to Cardmark? No, but why would you want to do that? Doing it directly in Cardmark is much easier. The only reason could be connectivity issues, but that's the only one. But here, for example, here I can download the booklets. So this one, I have it here. After you finish marking, you say, I want to see all the PDFs. I can download the graded booklets. And then this is what you get. So you get a folder with all the files for every single student, and it gives you the mark work. It tells you the marks and what the student did, so you can see that. How much does it cost? Well, there are different pricing options. The most common ones are the course enrollment option. So that is $375 US per student per course. And there is the annual subscription, which is $7 US per student per year, no matter how many courses you have. So if you have one student with 7 different courses at the same time, that is covered by those $7 US per year per student. And then they have some enterprise options, but those will be for larger numbers. Yeah. And for us, I mean, it made more sense to do the annual subscription because most students are using Cardmark for more than one course. So it's just cheaper to do it that way. Yeah, it depends on the model that you prefer. Which is actually price-wise is pretty good for all the features that it has.
I've just written another question, which I'll ask now. So I'm interested to know if you've used Cardmark on a tablet to do marking.
Yes, on an iPad, it works very well.
So does the interface, does it change?
No, pretty much not. It looks everything the same. The only thing, of course, you don't have the keyboard shortcuts if you don't have a keyboard connected to it. But other than that, it looks the same and it feels very natural. One thing that you have to be a bit careful about is when there several pages when you navigate, make sure that your finger is quite close to the edge, because if you're touching in the middle, it will just try to write instead of, or like not move properly. But that's such a minor thing, is just go on the edge of the page and not in the middle of the page. But yes, I've used it. I prefer doing it on a computer because I like using the keyboard shortcuts a lot, and it's not as comfortable on an iPad, but it works very well. The writing the pencil is very good. So if you're a person who likes handwriting things, it's very good for that. You know.
Thanks.
Okay. So do we have already the marking team set up? I don't think so.
Yep. So
Yep.
I'm just adding them as we speak.
Perfect.
I have 13 new,
Perfect. Okay.
new team members that have just been added.
Perfect. So I can see now we have lots of graders. So we're going to be grading this one that is called Maths Exam. Oh, mobile phones. Yes, it works very well for the students with mobile phones. I've met so many students that that's the only thing they use. So with a mobile phone, they can log into CrowdMark, take a picture with their phone, have a JPEG file, or just do a scanning app and transform it into a PDF and upload it. Instead of drag and drop, they will have to click and browse in their mobile files. But absolutely, yes, it works. Yeah, so Elliot said that his preferred method of using CrowdMark is mobile phone. Yeah. Yeah, I think students really like uploading their solutions using their phones. I've seen that a lot. I've also tested the multiple choice questions on the phone, and it works very well as well. Of course, for marking, I would not recommend it, but for the students, it's good. Okay, so we have here 2 questions that I created for you. You see, this one has this QR code. This is what you will see if you created a paper-based exam. You give CrowdMark the template of your questions, and then you will download a very, very big PDF file that has all the copies for all the students. So if you have 100 students, it will create 100 copies of the exam. Each page has a unique QR code. And this is very good because imagine that you are scanning things and all the pages, I don't know what happens, storm, and all of them get separated and everything is a mess. Doesn't matter. CrowdMark, when you scan everything, you upload it to CrowdMark, and CrowdMark will put all the booklets back together. So if you have mixed student number 1 and number 17 all together, CrowdMark will put everything back to its right order. So here, everyone should have received an email invitation to start marking. So if you want, you just go to this one that is called Maths Exam, and feel free to start writing things. So for example, and this one, something that I wanted to show you that is very nice is that, well, we have, as I said, LaTeX. So here they made a mistake. And here we can say square root of x is absolute value of x, for example. And now it shows nicely. Or we can do what can we say here? And we can do something that is display style. You create your own password because you're creating your account. You don't need a password to access it. So we already have Christian. He's graded 1.
I've written a couple of comments.
Excellent.
That's interesting that it's come up immediately.
Yeah, it is automatic. As soon as you write something, it appears that. And that's why in my previous talk, the one that I did last week, I was saying that you can use it to oversee the marking in real time. Is that fast? And even more, I can then filter evaluations. And if I want to see what Christian wrote, I can filter by what he did. And I apply the filters, and I can see that he wrote back. And also, let's see that I go to get clear filters, and I go to another booklet. See, booklet number 3. So Miriam also did this. And here we can see that people are already having the comments, and they appear in the comment library right away. At the top, I can see, let me just make this bigger. At the top, I can see, we don't need this anymore. I can see who is online at that time, which could be helpful. And here we can see, for example, how many people have marked different questions, how many responses they have marked. So it's pretty nice for grading supervision. Okay, so for example, here we go to one that has been already graded by someone else, and I'll show you something here. So booklet number 2 was graded by Christian, and I can add a new evaluation. So I create my new own copy of it, or I can clone it. So these graders cannot do it, but I can do it. I can clone it, and now I create a copy of what it did, but now I can edit it. And now I can choose which one I want to be the primary one. So the primary evaluation is the one that the students will see. So maybe you change something and now you want to make sure that the students see the correct one. And right now, so in the assessment settings, graders cannot see each other evaluations, but if I turn it on, now if you go to booklet number 2, for example, question 1, you can see what Christian did.
We've got a few questions on the Moodle site now, Beatrice. So
Cool.
do you want to spend a few minutes going through those live, or would you rather answer those?
Yeah, I can go through them live. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a question from Colin Steele saying you demonstrated about check A. Could you also have check B for a different question and then be able to see which of the students with check A also have check B? So I think this was the plagiarism tags thing.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So for example, I can go to this one here. So I create my own and I add a tag. I can do check A. And then I can add another one, check B, for example, and then I can go to next one and add check B, and so on. So something I like, we use unique words. So we tell them if you see one particular type of issue, then tag it with certain comment. We usually do like blue dog, blue whale, blue shoe. And then like the first one, blue, indicates that is suspected plagiarism, and the other one is identifying exactly the 2 students that I think they're the same.
Okay, I'm scanning through to look through ones that would be worth answering right now.
So the one about automatic assessment. So CrowdMark doesn't have automatic marking for things that are not multiple choice questions. So the philosophy of CrowdMark is that we make everything else much faster. So then you can focus on marking all these other things. But no, it doesn't have like short answer type questions. It's not available. Yeah.
There's a question from Focko van der Bolt, which I'm not sure I fully understand. It's what does an administered test look like? So Focko says, I understand an administered test is one taken on paper and then scanned in by the examiner. Is that right?
That is correct. So I actually can show you. I have one over here. So this one, for example, I started with this. This was, well, forget the questions. I just did it so you could see lots of answers, but forget the answers. It should not have answers here. So, I mean, it look like this. So these are my questions. I have it like this. So this is the file that you upload to CrowdMark. And then you get these again. The answers should not be there. That was kind of my way of cheating to give you lots of booklets with. So it creates this. So I went from this file here, has no QR codes, to this one with QR codes. And it just has lots and lots of pages. So when you look at it, so this one has 100 booklets. It has 3 pages, 100 booklets, so it has 300 pages. What you do is you create it and then you take it to your print center and you tell them staple it every these many pages. So in my case, it will be staple it every 3 pages or staple it every 16 pages. And then when you are done, there are 2 options. You can outsource it and send it to some printing center and they will scan it for you. We did it with TAs. One TA would do it in one night. It doesn't take that long, maybe 4 hours or so for 1,000 students. The technique is you cut the staples off. We make packs of like 10 to 15 booklets. Good pair of scissors, cut staples off, create the piles, put them in the office printer, scan everything, and then you just upload them. And the process is quite quick and simple.
And does CrowdMark handle matching up based on the QR codes, matching up pages with students?
Yes. So there is an app. So what you can do if you have an invigilated exam, the invigilator has their phone and they can use the mobile app to match the QR code to students. So you scan the first page, the QR code, and you look at the student and you match it there. Or you can, I'll show you, you can do it manually later if you go to match booklets. You can go here and then you will see the student name and then you just look for the student and you say, okay, this imagine was Charles Darwin. You do it and then you pick another student and you just match them like that. You can do it manually. When there are many, many students, it is easier to do it with the app. But for that, you have to have, invigilators that go through the room and then they just look at the student, they read their name. It's not intrusive at all. I've done it so many times with groups of more than 350 students in one room. And you just go with your phone, very quietly, you go, ask them to look at their name, scan the QR code, look for the student name, and that's it. So what we did, we told them to keep their student ID on the desk. So then we could see their name without bothering them at all. And any QR code would work. So really, as long as they're not writing like that, covering everything, you can, without them noticing, you come, scan, look at their name, put it there. And sometimes they're like, oh, you just did it. It's like, yeah, continue. So, yeah.
Great. Well, I think we're coming just about to the end there. We've got a couple of minutes until the end of the session. Thank you very much, Beatrice, for this a very comprehensive demonstration of CrowdMark. I think that's been really good. There were a few more questions in the chat.
If there are questions, I'll be happy to answer them. I can stay a few more minutes if people are happy with that.
I'll just ask people to copy questions across to the Moodle site because this session is going to end on the dot. So yeah, I think there are a couple more to answer in text there.
So there's a question, what if they want to use more pages than you're allowed? So the way we did it is we have at the end, we added some blank pages and said, if you need more space, use the pages at the end. So we had like 3 pages and then we would tell the students to clearly write, see page number blah, and then you tell the TA if that happens, go to that page.
Great, thanks. So that's, I think, brings us to the end of this session. Thank you to those of you who have attended. I'll just quickly show you what's happening tomorrow. Remind myself, in fact. So tomorrow morning we have another free chat session. So the Zoom channel is open to discuss whatever you'd like to discuss. I think we'll still have access to CrowdMark tomorrow, is that right?
Yes, that's correct, yeah.
Okay. And then in the afternoon, I'm doing this one, some numbers training. Might not be as well prepared as today's CrowdMark session, but if you'd like to, either if you haven't used numbers yet, or if you've got some questions for me about writing questions, then attend that. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you all tomorrow.